Fair value gap versus inversion fair value gap. Which one is better? To answer this question, we backtested hundreds of each on the euro-dollar pair to analyze the results and gather some of the most useful information traders need to know. So make sure to watch this video until the end, especially if you trade these zones, because the results might completely change how you approach the market. Starting with the basics, a bullish fair value gap is a space between the upper wick of the first candle and the lower wick of the third candle in a three-candle sequence. Similarly, a bearish FVG is a space between the lower wick of the first candle and the upper wick of the third candle. The candle's color does not matter, and they can be any shape or size. The psychology behind a bullish FVG is that it shows a buy-side imbalance, where buying pressure strongly outweighs selling pressure, causing this gap in price movement. Traders often see this gap as an area of interest and use it as a demand zone to go long. The same concept applies to the bearish scenario. When price returns to a bearish fair value gap, traders expect a reaction and treat it as a supply area. Now, what is an inversion fair value gap? An inversion or inversed FVG is a failed fair value gap that gets disrespected by the market. For example, here we have a bullish imbalance that caused this gap. When price pulls back to this area, we expect a rejection to the upside. However, the next candles close below the FVG, completely disrespecting it, which creates an inversion. Now, what's the psychology behind the inversion FVG? The formation of an inversion fair value gap is one of the early signs of shifting momentum in the market. It shows that the side that created the imbalance lost control. This sudden shift in momentum signals a possible reversal. From basic price action, we know that after a breakout, support turns into resistance, and vice versa. Same thing applies to fair value gaps as well. When a bullish fair value gap that used to be our demand area breaks to the downside, it turns into a supply zone. So now we can anticipate a rejection from the inversion FVG to the downside. Now, how do we know whether a fair value gap is going to hold or turn into an inversion? What we want to see when trading fair value gaps is price coming in and respecting the midpoint area, and then we anticipate a move higher. If instead, price comes in and violates this area, then we can anticipate price moving lower, closing below the fair value gap and creating an inversion. You can mark the midpoint by applying the retracement tool from this low to this high and using the 50% level. Now, here's an important point. Fair value gaps are one-time use. So when price has already reacted to an FVG and it has been used by the market, we no longer consider it a trading opportunity. If price breaks through it afterward, we don't consider it an inversion FVG. When looking for an inversion, we are looking for a sudden shift in momentum that completely disrespects the FVG. Now we reach the question, fair value gap or inversion fair value gap? Which one is better? The reality is, neither is better than the other. Both can be highly profitable when used in the right conditions. They are different setups with their own strengths and limitations, as summarized in this chart. The inversion has the nature of a reversal trading setup, while the standard FVG is more of a trend continuation strategy. That's why inversion setups usually have higher risk-to-reward potential. However, fair value gaps occur occasionally on the chart, while finding a clear inversion FVG trading setup can be difficult. Also, once you have spotted an inversion fair value gap that meets your criteria, you normally do not need confirmation. With all that said, through our back testing, we have found that certain conditions are required for fair value gaps and inversions to work effectively, which we are about to break down next. In this part of the video, we will explain two of the best setups for reversals and continuations using standard and inversion FVGs, which performed really well in our back testing.